गुड मॉर्निंग जेंटलमैन। दोस्तों, गुड मॉर्निंग। मैं हूं मदन सिंह और मैं आपके साथ बात करने वाला हूं ऑन डोनाल्ड ट्रंप। आप लोगों ने मेरा पुराना वीडियो देखा होगा इन विच आई हैड सेड दैट डोनाल्ड ट्रंप इज द न्यू शेरिफ इन टाउन लाइक वियाट अर्प दैट फेमस मार्शल। खैर, उन्होंने काफ़ी सक्सेस मिला in the sense he mounted an assault on Venezuela, capture of the Venezuelan president who is sitting in New York jail, and जितने भी उनके दोस्त थे लाइक रशिया एंड चाइना दे couldn't do a damn thing. So उसके बाद people thought that now Donald Trump is cock a hoop. अब वो दूसरी काम करेगा. He will capture Greenland. He will throw out the Cuban regime, try to make Canada the 51st state, sort out Mexico, and finally launch the attack on Iran and destroy the Iranian regime. In addition, he would get the ceasefire done in Ukraine. Gentlemen, all this looks very interesting and very exciting, but Donald Trump has not moved anywhere closer on these other things. क्यूबा की regime को तो ये टच ही नहीं कर पाए. हालांकि क्यूबा इज अ वेरी स्मॉल कंट्री, कोई उनकी इकोनॉमी नहीं है. कम्युनिस्ट regime is there for the last, I think, almost 65 years, and Donald Trump ने कुछ नहीं किया. We thought he would going to throw out the Cuban regime, which he has not done. He has not also moved on Greenland. ग्रीनलैंड इसने इन्होंने कहा था कि कुछ भी हो जाए, चाहे तूफान आ जाए या कुछ भी हो जाए, मैं ग्रीनलैंड को ऑक्यूपाई कर लूंगा, इवन इफ रिक्वायर्ड बाय मिलिट्री फोर्स. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली, और रादर फॉर्चुनेटली फॉर द यूरोपियंस, ही हैज नॉट डन इट. और उसका रीज़न ये है कि द यूरोपियन कंट्रीज आर ग्रेटली परटर्ब्ड. और इस डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने रियलाइज़ किया कि जो मेरी स्ट्रेंथ है, जो बैकिंग है फ्रॉम द यूरोपियन कंट्रीज, दैट हैज़ बिकम ज़ीरो. फ्रांस एंड इंग्लैंड एंड एवरीबडी इज अनहैप्पी विद डोनाल्ड ट्रंप कि ये काम उन्होंने किया है. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी सैड occurrence, but at the same time, Donald Trump has broken the alliance, the NATO alliance, which was in existence in 1949 when President Truman ने लॉन्च किया था इसको. सो जेंटलमैन, अभी सिचुएशन तो फ्लूइड है. सो डोनाल्ड ट्रंप पीछे हट गए एज फार एज ग्रीनलैंड इज कंसर्न. पर इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि उन्होंने अपनी जो मंशा है, इच्छा है, वो खत्म कर दी है. ही हैज नॉट डन दैट. एंड देन एज फार एज यूक्रेन इज कंसर्न, अभी रशियन आर्मी इज नॉट एडवांसिंग एंड देयर इज अ वॉर ऑफ एट्रिशन ऑन. वो रॉकेट्स फेंक रहे हैं, ड्रोन्स भेज रहे हैं, बट दैट्स ऑल. द रशियन ग्राउंड ट्रूप्स आर नॉट एडवांसिंग बिकॉज द हैवी कैजुअलिटी विद द रशियंस हैव सफर्ड. और मेरे ख्याल में दैट कुड बी वन फेदर इन द कैप ऑफ डोनाल्ड ट्रंप कि हो सकता है वो सीज फायर करा दे वहाँ, एंड मे बी ही कुड गेट द नोबेल प्राइज. अगली बात आई ईरान की. और ईरान, हमने सोचा था कि डोनाल्ड ट्रंप बड़ी जोर शोर से हमला करेंगे ईरान के ऊपर. ही हैज़ ऑलरेडी मूव्ड द अमेरिकन फ्लीट वेरी क्लोज टू द ईरानियन वाटर्स. और कुछ अमेरिकन बेसेस जो ससेप्टेबल थे टू द ईरानियन अटैक, उनको उन्होंने खाली कर दिया है, लाइक द बिगेस्ट बेस इन कतर. पर जब हम सोच रहे थे कि अटैक होने वाला है, एंड वी हैव बीन वेटिंग एवरी डे फॉर द अटैक, पर ये अटैक अभी तक नहीं हुआ ईरान के ऊपर. इसराइली एजेंट्स खूब मूव कर रहे हैं वहाँ ईरान में, कुछ बॉम्ब वगैरह करा रहे हैं इधर उधर, बट दैट्स नॉट गोइंग टू ब्रिंग डाउन द रेजिम. खुमानी अभी भी कंट्रोल में है और काफ़ी सारे आदमी उन्होंने फांसी पे लटका दिया है जिन्होंने उन्हें अपोज किया था. सो द क्वेश्चन इज जेंटलमैन, ईरान में क्या होगा आगे, और क्यों नहीं डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने अटैक किया. ना, मैं आपको बताता हूँ, मैं मिडल ईस्ट से काफ़ी फेमिलियर हूँ, एंड आई फाइंड दैट none of the Middle East countries were in favor of attacking Iran, American attack on Iran. ईरान उनका एनिमी ज़रूर है, बट दे डिडंट वांट दिस अटैक. उसका कारण ये है कि जैसे आप सैमसन में, अब बाइबल में जानते हो, देयर वाज अ कैरेक्टर कॉल्ड सैमसन, और वो मर गया, पर वो जो टेम्पल था जिसमें उसको रखा था, उसको तोड़ दिया उसने, तबाह कर दिया. सो द ईरानियन रेजिम विल गो, नो डाउट. पर ईरान ने ये कहा है कि अगर हमें अटैक करेगा कोई, हम सारी जो अमेरिकन एलाइज हैं लाइक सऊदी अरेबिया, कतर, मैं उनके ऊपर बॉम्बिंग करूंगा एंड आई विल डिस्ट्रॉय देम, एंड विच इज वेरी लाइकली. सो द फियर ऑफ डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ दीज Arabian countries had made them approach Washington and tell the new marshal to kindly go slow on Iran because we don't want to get involved in this fight. And secondly, they also denied the airspace to the United States Air Force to bomb Iran. So ये position at the moment. तो एक status quo है, American fleet is moving around there, and it is standing there, but they have not moved forward. As far as Canada is concerned, Canada तो उन्होंने शोर मौत बचाया है, saying that Canada is going to be the 51st province of America, and he was referring to the Canadian Prime Minister as governor. बट वहाँ भी आई थिंक इट्स गोइंग टू बी वेरी डिफिकल्ट, हालांकि कुछ सेपरेटिस्ट मूवमेंट्स हैं वहाँ, पर्टिकुलरली फ्रॉम एल्बर्टा हु हैव गॉन एंड मेट डोनाल्ड ट्रंप. पर सेपरेटिस्ट मूवमेंट से मतलब ये है कि दे वांट अनदर कंट्री, दे डोंट वांट टू जॉइन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स. And I don't think the people in Canada are very keen to enamored of becoming partners with America. So the question, gentlemen, is very simple, to be very frank, and solution is simple. Unless America uses force on Canada, I don't think Canada is going to be part of the United States. And now question is कि अमेरिका की जो credibility है all over the world खत्म हो गई है. And that is the biggest thing. America was supposed to be the big benefactor which would help a lot of people, do a lot of things, and secure them against China and Russia. But now the way things are going, Donald Trump एक अपना agenda बनाया हुआ है उन्होंने. He keeps on doing everything what he wants to do himself, and he is not really concerned about old pacts and alliances. NATO जो है मेरे ख्याल में उन्होंने डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया तकरीबन. He's finished off NATO, and the European powers को अब minimum 10% of their GDP they will have to spend अगर उन्होंने आर्मी या फौज तैयार करनी है. एंड दैट फौज अब तैयार करते करते भी उनको 10 साल लग जाएंगे. एंड बाय दैट टाइम यू सी it would have been something like a dream, a long dream like Rip Van Winkle, and that would have been over and Europe will be finished. So willy-nilly Europe to agree karega to whatever the Americans will do, and ultimately they'll give Greenland, but they're definitely defiance, and they are very unhappy about it. Donald Trump's another big failure is India. He had thought that he would be putting some tariffs on India and India will collapse. It has not happened. And that is the correct fact of what the thing is going. India is still surviving. Not only surviving, they have shown a excellent path how to face America. Donald Trump now is at his wit's end as far as India is concerned. The tariffs are not working, and India has signed up free trade agreements with the EU, and they're going to do with Canada, and that is something which Donald Trump has not liked at all. And he must be wondering what happened because he's now become the odd man out. The Marshall used to be the one man who used to, in the Western movies, rally all the men, create a group of men who would help him form a posse and go and catch the outlaws. But there's nobody along with Donald Trump at the moment now. And India, which could have been a good ally of the Americans, is now greatly miffed. And Modi's played his card very adroitly. And I don't think he has said yes, sir, to Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is left with a doubtful ally like Pakistan. And Pakistan could help them because they are people who are with a begging bowl and they could give them money, they don't have it. So they could send their army as a mercenary force anywhere, even against Iran. So that is the point, gentlemen. We must bear in mind that things are not moving as it should as far as Donald Trump is concerned. He is coming to a roadblock. You know, a roadblock आ जाता है and then उसको निकालना बड़ा मुश्किल होता है. You need extra force, road को खाली करना है, फिर जाएंगे आगे. And this roadblock is there as far as Donald Trump is concerned in all his activities. He could have, we thought he could easily sort out Mexico and Cuba, which was the easiest to do, but he hasn't done it. Because world opinion is now against America. मेरे ख्याल ऐसा कोई देश नहीं है जो अमेरिका से खुश है. And Israel also is now having second thoughts about the Americans. Because the way he has gone about the Gaza Strip by getting an international force there, उन्होंने effectively Israel को sideline कर दिया. And that is something the Israelis probably never anticipated. Now he's got a governing council set up in in Gaza, of which Pakistan is a member and so many other countries are members. But Israel will not have whole say there because everything will be controlled by Donald Trump. And he'll be president for life. So Israel has got so-called double thoughts, because tomorrow, if he could, forget about Europe, which was the closest allies, I mean, he could forget about Israel also and say, well, look after yourself. Like the time he's making some very dangerous statements now about South Korea, telling them that they must look after their home themselves. And he's forgotten that the Americans have 50,000 troops positioned there in Korea, South Korea, to fight North Korea, to save them. And again, the small regime which is in existence in Taiwan, the early island of Formosa, also is now greatly worried. They don't know what is going to happen because they don't have the element and the power to face China. But one thing is clear कि अमेरिका को अभी कंट्रोल कोई भी नहीं कर सकता in the world. China and Russia, we had thought that they will be doing something and they would control the Americans, act as an antidote, but इनकी power is zero compared to America, and they can only operate in their own regional areas. And जैसे कि Caribbean है, which the Americans had stopped and occupied Venezuela, and Russia and China just couldn't do a damn thing. So same thing could happen in other places also. But Donald Trump has even antagonized South Africa. So the new Marshal in town is going about in a different way. And his grievance against South Africa is that the white minority there has been divested of the lands which they had taken tens of years back for a song and has been lot